Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you, and our regular co-hosts, the money healer Stephanie J. Alvarez and Dr. Nicole Kane. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
And I think I'm live.
Hi.
I want to welcome you to. Hi. Hi to you.
Hello.
Hi back to you. I'm with Stephanie Alvarez. This is Glenn Brooks. You're listening to Vibrant Living. And I paused for a moment. I don't know why. I was kind of like, I put myself on hold or something. You know what I wanted to explore today? First, I want to welcome everybody for listening. I know some of you listened to last week's show, and we corrected the time. So the actual time of the Vibrant Living Network is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. East Coast time. And wow, there's so much stuff to explore. I thought tonight, part of the show, we could talk about what I've done over the last, 27 years. I've assisted people in becoming hosts of their own show. And I realize it's a lot more than just hosting a radio show. It's kind of looking at connections. It's looking at really working with creativity and relationships. And as Mark Twain said, it's true success is turning your vocation into your vacation. So Stephanie's my national producer. She's with us now. She'll ask brilliant questions in different periods to keep me in sync and in tune with the relevancy of this whole thing about being a host. So, you know what, Stephanie, I think I'll tell you a story about how I kind of got into this. How did I get into this? Maybe that'll be a fun story. Well, I found myself... It could be funny with your assistance. Absolutely. I think we should have interventions for humor.
Okay.
Every few minutes, if it's not somewhat funny. A funny thing happened to me on the way to get rich. Yeah. So basically, the unfunny part is that I didn't really connect to what was happening at school, and little by little, I just started kind of following the path of conformity in the sense that I think the message I received, like a lot of us received, I had to do certain things to make it. You know, that was the unspoken command, so to speak. And I ended up one day at a magazine store. I was looking for a magazine, and I picked up a magazine called Health and Strength, and I read an article on sugar. And next thing I know, at the time, I was taking medications for headaches, sinus headaches. And I kind of was in as they say, a stranger in a strange world. I really didn't know what was really happening. And so I saw a lot of people doing things that I didn't have the language for, but people seemed like they were forced and strained, and there were certain things they had to do. And I, of course, being a younger person, I couldn't quite get it. It just didn't seem like it was the best boat to be on. So I picked up this magazine. I don't know why I read this article on sugar, and I thought, wow, no one ever told me this before. And so it seemed like the next thing I went from that magazine to going to the bookstore, and I started to get inspired about discovering something. that was not in front of me. And during that process, I would meet people, either at the bookstore. I would, I certainly met authors. I mean, I didn't meet them yet in person, but I started to get really curious about this other world. The other world being the vital world, the world where, there's this spark inside of us and we kind of connect to people. And I guess you could use different language, maybe a more intuitive spontaneity. Plus, I get very interested in acting too. I felt a connection there, and little by little I got a paper route at a certain point, delivering papers, and I found with some people I was discussing what was happening, because when I got off the medications, I had changed my diet, my headaches went away, and so I was in this mode where I was curious about other people's experience. And I felt there was a hidden world, a world of wisdom, a world of connections. And somehow how I connected with some of this was radio. So there was a guy that I would listen to at night, and he would have on people who talked about things in a different way. They talk about stuff that wasn't common. So I got interested in the uncommon stuff, and little by little, inch by inch, I saw myself speaking to people. I saw myself listening to people, but not listening informationally, like kind of listening in a way that was kind of had some color to it, some energy to it. And so little by little, I went to a health conference, and I met this model. Her name was Tony DeMarco. She's still alive. She's in L.A. And all of a sudden, and this happened very spontaneously, but I was talking to her, and she gave me her phone number. And next thing I know, I actually went into the city to meet her at her apartment. And I was probably could have been 18, 17. And I kind of was in this world where she had written this book, and it was talking about how she got really poisoned by her cosmetics. And I went to her apartment, and we had this really interesting discussion. And what I saw on her table was she had these headlines of things she wanted to, it looked like a newspaper, but it was things she wanted to see happen in her life. And before you know it, I told her I could organize a little seminar for her, a little workshop. And I did. I had a couple of friends, Vincenza and Lucia, and they came to the city with me. And it was the first time, by the way, I got paid for doing something I enjoyed. I didn't even know that was a possibility. You know what I mean? I really felt like, the only thing my parents said to me was, you got to get another job. So I'm kind of saying this because I didn't really know I could be a vibrant host. I didn't really know that these attributes in me I could actually share with people. I didn't have any sense of that. It kind of just came by paying attention in a different way. And so I first got on radio, by the way. The first time I was on radio, I went on WUSB, which was a station out of Stony Brook University. And what I talked to the students about was all the things to learn that weren't included in the school curriculum. And I got some really good response. And I realized, that was kind of fun. It seems like the way I'm speaking to people speaks to another aspect of them. So I started a little club there called the Feeling Great Club. And I would hang out around students, and I would just hang out around them. I would give them certain exercises and practices. And some of them told me they stopped doing drugs, or they slept really well for the first time. So I was kind of on this path. Now, the second thing that happened, as it relates to being a vibrant host, was I started to talk to people that I was curious about, people that had written books, and many of them told me that when we had a conversation, they learned something and discovered something. So I started to think, there's something that happens when I speak to people that opens up a new world for both of us. And so that was kind of happening. And also, at the same time, I was really curious about people who came into something like a career, a connection that they never had before. They started to bring in their lives. Like they started to create their own career. So I actually had there was two things I started to teach. I started to teach around creating your own career. I was, they say you need to teach what you need to learn. Well, I didn't really know. No one had educated me about this. But every time I saw someone that was really happy, they had a glow in their eyes, I was really curious how they maintained it, how that became alive. So the first time I went on radio, I came home and my father sold stereo systems for cars. And so what I did is it was an old-fashioned cassette, and I put it in the sample unit, and I would play it for my friends, like in the background. They wouldn't know they were surprised that I was on the radio. But I realized, and the secret I realized, it wasn't the radio. It was something about broadcasting or sending a signal and having people respond. So that's early on my experience was when I would call someone and I talk to them, I would have these unusual connections with people where they would, just speaking to me or meeting me in person, I just felt they would open up to me in a way that was striking or unusual. So now, many years later, I've discovered certain things about how to listen to people and to, could you believe it? That's your favorite music, and it's on right now. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, talking about becoming a vibrant host and talking about how to design your own career and other good things along with Stephanie Alvarez. Stay with us. Your life's precious. Enjoy it.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I was just talking about this idea of being a vibrant host, and really, how did I even come to this? How did I even come to this idea of being a vibrant host? I started Unscripted Power, wrote a book called Unscripted Power. There's something that happens when we get in touch with this vital self that's very different than our counterfeit self. So I guess how it started was asking people very different questions. And they often would say, no one asked me this before. And also the thing that I loved was I loved when I could see people and see them in a way that no one else probably saw them. So I was also interested in this because, I didn't have this experience myself. I really had an experience that anyone saw me. I had an experience that people, they would look but not see, right? They'd look but not see. So I started to when I got into speaking, and also when I got into doing radio and television, I started to pay attention in a different way. And I realize now that we have the Vibrant Living Network, and I've done this many years, I really love this idea that assisting people with hosting a show. Now, what's really different about hosting a show is you could inquire and build your own one-of-a-kind platform and open up a whole new world of connections. You could bring to life the kind of conversations that not just that forward you in terms of your creativity, but also very much so allow you to own that field, right? A lot of times, I think we're taught in life. We are taught in life. We're taught a have, do, be model. We're taught to have, we do, we be, and this makes us, slaves basically. We have, we do, we be. We're not taught that we be, right? That we are complete. We're being, and we be, we have, we do. And so, at a certain different points. So, as an example, when I got into radio more, I found that what was interesting was a lot of people. Now, growing up, I thought that people who published books were, they were experts and they did great. A lot of times the books didn't sell. And they would tell me this, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. So then I began to pay attention to what moved a message, what opened up something. And I would invite people on. I would invite people to tell me, and that became, in some ways, a kind of a coaching practice. Now, I didn't start there, but it kind of opened up a new world. Hey, I want to welcome Ariel with us, who says his last name much better than me. He's always done this. He's been able to outperform me in terms of saying his last name. Ariel, welcome. Ariel is our Vibrant Living Media producer in the New York City, New York market, New Jersey. And also he works here on Unscripted Power, which is my approach to assisting people sing their deep soul message to touch the soul of the audience. Now, these things, I just want to say that and I'm going to get into this more specifically, I'm going to talk to you about the physical postures and the things that you really can bring this into your life. How do you make something that's abstract real and alive in your life, and how do you touch people with that? I want to get into that. And also, how to use the biggest crisis of my life became a new doorway to seeing a new world. So I want to kind of get into some of those subjects and how this relates to being a vibrant host. Is, when you have a topic that you really love and you want to reach people with it, it just expands your awareness. Another thing that happened to me along the way, and I want to welcome you, Ariel. Here you are. Welcome, Ariel.
Hello, guys.
Ariel,
what's
welcome.
going on?
What's going on? Well, Stephanie's. What's that? Oh, yeah, it's an honor having you. By the way, so I want you or Stephanie, my national producer of Vibrant Living Network. I want you guys to just, if there's a question or a comment or something, I want to use you. You guys are representing the listening of the audience today. So, because I want to know that I'm connecting, and that's a fun thing, by the way. It's a fun thing to know you're connecting with an audience. And I still love that to this day. So I was talking about the vibrant host and why I love assisting people with being vibrant hosts. And so why I love it is that a lot of us, we kind of dabble in one thing or another, but something happens when we really focus on one thing that really moves us. And I used to host this call on mastering the media. And people would come on sometimes, and they have a certain topic. They have like a book or something. They wanted to speak to an audience, whether it's TV or radio or a live audience. And a lot of times, what was kind of interesting was the other people in the room would notice that is an example. There was an English woman who wrote a book on it was feng shui, the placement of things, and have more harmony. But they all told her that she should be the audio voice for children's books. So what began to happen was, I think what happens is we have this, we have a sense of what we should do or have to do. And a lot of times it's not that, it's something else. So when one of the benefits of being a vibrant host is you get to explore and really embody. This is a really important thing. You get to explore and embody the things that you're ready to move into. And of course, I love working with couples, by the way. I love working with couples as vibrant hosts and also around Unscripted Power, which are married. So everything that tends to come in my life, it comes from an unscripted place, meaning that it's a place that I haven't been to before. And usually the way that works is I just become receptive. So before I go to bed at night, I recommend you guys do this, is before you go to bed at night, see your day, see it. So you exhale 3 times. Exhale 3 times, and then see your day again. So, for instance, if you had a bad interaction with someone or something happened you didn't like, you could actually see that again and kind of clear yourself. Now, when you clear yourself before you go to bed at night, and this is wonderful if you have a partner or you do this with someone who's close to you, you could really begin to bridge a new world. And I started to practice it with some friends of mine. And what we found happening was it created a kind of a creativity connection with us that was very unique and profound. So what I share with people is that doing these practices, and this surprises people, is that we're much, much better at 80% than 100%. So at 100%, we tend to be overwhelmed. And a lot of people don't realize they could live much better at 80%. But these little practices, like when you clear yourself before you go to bed and you do it with someone else, you start to have a different relationship with time. So you go from the horizontal relationship to a more it just changes the way you begin to see in your life. So part of my training and my education for hosts is kind of very much about being touched by the creative energy and about going beyond your script. So, Ariel, you have a question or a comment? I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the audience. Here in the Vibrant Living Network, we help people design their own shows and also have a network of hosts. So what's ringing to you as I'm sharing? Is there anything that's clear, rings the bell for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually very funny you mentioned that because, that's something, I actually personally do on a daily basis. Like, for example, before I go to sleep, I usually try to think over, everything that happened that day and, the positive, the negative, the good, bad, or just everything and anything that happened. And I always, I personally always try to internalize, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Why is it came out this thing played out the way it did? And I think at the end of it, everything, it goes back to that idea that everything that, that happens to us, that occurs to us, the people we meet, the interactions we have, it's all there at the end of the day to make better people. And to be better people, really socially, relationship-wise, spiritually, on all different levels. And I think, when you're in a position such as being a vibrant host, I think the experiences you go through and that you've seen and the things that you've done and the things that you've, tapped into, these things happen so you can go through it and you can share your expertise in those situations or in those circumstances with other people. Like, for example, as a homeopath, I deal with a lot of people with all kinds of different, mental, emotional, and social and physical issues, like I said in the last show. And there have been many things that people have dealt with that I personally have gone through myself. For example, a lot of people in my practice and many other practices have anxiety-related issues, or episodes of depression, or certain even physical, skin issues, let's say, or certain circumstances in life that they've been through. And as human being like anyone else, there are things like that I've also been through as well. When I look back at those experiences as intense or as minor as they have been, I look back and I realize that not only those experiences helped me to grow and become a better person and to be able to better relate with others and to connect with others, but it gave me the tools and the knowledge and the strength to be able to help with those same people that have been in those same exact or very similar situations. So I think despite we all go through things like this in life, and I think when we reach that point where we're able to overcome it and it becomes something that we learn and we grow from, I think with that experience we're able to share it much better with others on a more powerful and potent level.
How would you, if someone's never heard about homeopathy, how would you describe it as a healing system?
How would I describe it?
What would you say to people that are here? Because there could be part of the audience they haven't heard of it before. What would you say about it?
I mean, in terms of definition, it's an energy-based holistic system natural medicine that aims to heal a person as a whole on all levels, both psychologically, physically, and even spiritually. I think if you wanted to explain it in an even more shorter nutshell, you could say that homeopathy basically it's a journey, it's a process that puts a person in control of his or her health, in complete control of his or her health, and gives and empowers them to live the life that they want to live. But in a nutshell, it's basically what it is. Obviously, there's much more to it. It's a huge oversimplification of it because there's so many different complex processes and things that go along with it. But in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. And that's what I do in Seattle.
Ariel, say your last name. Since I didn't say it, I want to make sure people at least have a bit, what.
we tried, for all those out there, we tried practicing this multiple times before the show tonight.
Yes, we did. We came up with some great names, too.
What was the name we came up with?
I think Bagadonowitz was the last name we came up with, and you loved it. But I felt that for the on the air, we should probably use the name that your other people call you, because that was a name that I enjoyed as well. But it would get confusing based on my names,
Should
so, ladies and gentlemen, Ariel, go ahead and say your last name. Go ahead. Oh, we got another. Could you believe another break? I'm not used to break. Go ahead, say it.
Last name is Darian for all those out there.
That's incredible. All right, stay with us.
Got that? Good.
Good. And also Stephanie Alvarez, whose name I seem to say really well. Stay with us. Your life precious. I have a story that's going to transform your life in a moment. Okay.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's so loving. She's so comforting. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Toast, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Hello, you're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks. I've been on the air a long time now. But what's interesting about doing the Vibrant Living stuff, because I live it as a lifestyle. I work with people. I often work with people who want to share their unscripted message, the thing that moves them the most, whether they want to be a vibrant host. I wanted to tell you guys a story. I want to say Stephanie Alvarez is with us. Stephanie, just say something. I just want to hear your beautiful voice. Just say anything. Go ahead. I want to feel your vibe.
Hello, Glenn and
Stephanie?
Ariel.
There you go.
Nice.
All of a sudden, she's in the van with us, traveling cross country. That was good. I like that.
I am. I did actually want to say something.
What's that?
I said I did actually want to say something.
Please.
There was a couple of things that you said that really sort of struck me when you were talking, when we very first began, and you talked about being on the wavelengths and sending out that wavelength and having people recognize it. And I've been doing just so much studies around the perpetual law of transmutation and energy and how we take things from the formless and we create and we make into form and how we're constantly creating and vibrating and all of these things. And I just felt it very interesting because as a vibrant host, that's basically what you're doing. You're sort of putting your vibration out there and you're wanting those that are a match to engage with you, to participate with you, to go on that journey with you. And for me, I think I've really been doing so much of that work because I keep looking at what am I attracting in my life and where do I need to make different tweaks. Like if I'm attracting certain things, I do believe that everything that I'm putting out there, it's really a match of my vibration. And so for me, it allows me to see what areas I need to work on to improve, where I'm not being as clear as I should be. And when you were talking about the sort of nighttime rituals, I never replay my day in my head unless it's a really bad day. If it's a really bad event that sort of stood out, then I will, just because I'm that type of a person where I sort of replay those things. But I don't do that as much as I did. And now I don't do that because for me, knowing how I am, I know that it would cause me anxiety and it would cause me worry. So what I do at the end of my day is I will actually sort of envision everybody that I came into contact with, and I will send their energy back to them. So I will just imagine sending their energy back to them in a loving way. And if I feel as though there was any sort of disharmony, then I'll just send them some love, or I might even do the Ho'oponopono prayer for them. If I feel like there's something in my field that is needing forgiveness, then I'll definitely do that. But that's, and then I will release cords. I never cut cords because I feel like when you cut something, you leave a nub there. So there's still something there, but when I release it, I can release it from the root. And I will go through all of my chakras, and I'll just pay attention to any sort of feelings that I have in there. If there's anything that I feel that is sort of blocking me or is making me feel anything other than having, mindfulness, then I will release that as well. And that's what I'll do. And then I'll also think about all of the things that I'm grateful for and all of the amazing things that happen throughout my day, but I've tried not to focus on anything that caused me stress throughout the day just because it's going to keep me up at night.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess what I didn't say is I also use that to, when I revision something, when I see it again, I see it differently. I also, I use my breath. So I always start off with an exhale, 3 exhales, and then I let my posture just be naturally, just kind of sitting upright in a way that I can feel the pulsation underneath me. I'm not in a collapsed posture. I'm in a upright posture, but I can feel the, if you will, the gravity. It's like a pulsation from the earth that comes through me, through. So a lot of times, I might see something, but I guess you could say a little correction, a little something. And the film that I'm working on, which is called The Announcement, is kind of a series of seeing things in a different light. And so what the movie is about, The Announcement's about this couple, Diana and Gordon Banks, and it's kind of about their relationships. They were married a very long time, and they had this separation. And I kind of based this on my own experience and a series of, I call them soul seeings, because what I call them soul seeings is I would get up at 3, 4 in the morning, and I would feel moved to get up and write and see things very differently about what's happening in my life and my own relationship. And during this time, it just opened up a new world, and it also changed how I saw some things. Like, it really changed the way I saw power. It changed the way that it changed my experience, and I felt really moved to. I started to feel the posture, by the way, of the characters in the movie, I started to see and feel the scenes. And we're going to have Eric Morris on. He's a well-renowned acting teacher. He wrote a book called, I love this book title, it's called No More Acting Please. No More Acting Please. Because really, we're kind of instruments of this wonderful creative energy. And but I'm glad you shared, how you experienced it. And I loved Ariel talking about the vibrant hosting. I mean, what's really wonderful is, and I've taught this a lot, I've taught classes for people who want to design their own shows, for people who want to write their own books. And the thing that's kind of interesting, at a certain point, what I've experienced is that people tip from fear, or fear of losing their idea, or fear there's someone in the room that's going to take their idea, and they start to feel a different experience in their nervous system. So another big benefit of this is to really build an experience, have a direct experience that people are covering your back, they're visioning with you. And one of my big tenets in all things is beyond competing. So more and more when I'm about to say do something new, I tend to think about it from a place where there's no competition. It's kind of obsolete. And it kind of changes your way of operating when you don't feel you're competing. It really shifts your whole universe. So during the day, like the shows come, a lot of people say, how do you produce your shows? Well, I produce them in real life when I'm touched by something, or, I'm talking to Stephanie or Ariel and I'm moved by something. Like I had a policeman come, I had a detective come to one of my courses. I used to teach a course called Freeing Yourself from Fear and Anxiety Without Medication. And he came, he was a detective. Joe LaChance, what an amazing human being. He came and he had a panic attack, and they gave him this medication at the mental hospital, and he had terrible reactions. So he was actually there for 2 weeks. And he came to my course, and he was just so receptive. I mean, one of the things that I love, what I love about the Vibrant Host is the caliber of people. It's so remarkable. It's such an honor meeting them. They always have so much to contribute. Their questions expand me and ground me. Anyway, Joe LaChance came. I shared some things. Let me put it this way. When you're really in tune with life, there's no mechanical information anymore. It's kind of like you realize when you're standing next to a tree or you're with someone, you start to have that reverent experience. And so when he came in the room, it happened with several people. Several people came, and it's almost like they came and brought a miracle. They came and did something that was so beyond information, right? Beyond information. So just that one experience with Joe LaChance and many others. There's another woman who came. I taught a class one night on the downside of relaxation tapes. And everyone in the room said to me, they would get more anxious listening to relaxation tapes. And I gave them this different practice. And they, engagement is such a wondrous thing when people engage together. And so that's the way that I kind of teach. But it's an environment where people, everyone's there to become more prosperous, more awake. Everyone's there to go beyond the competitive plane and have their show be one of a kind. And there's a lot of dimensions of that. I teach people, I educate them how to connect with people they never thought they could connect with. I help them with, I love giving people titles. I just love it. I love coming out there. I was working with a cardiologist in New York City, Dr. Patrick Fratellone, and he kept saying the same thing. He kept saying to me in some ways that his patients healed him. So I said, Patrick, you got to write a book on how your patients heal you. And he hadn't seen it before. So there's something that happens, and this is from Sufism, and I believe they call it Chila. Well, Chila, I call it the Vibrant Living Challenge. So it's what happens in community. We're challenged, but really we're committed to having each other raise and go beyond. So all the power that I deal with, and I've been a student of power for many, many years, is relational power. And so I still don't know how to come to terms with a lot of, like when people talk about empowerment, but it's all about separation. The work that I teach is really about how to have this genuine power and have it unify. And so my new book, which I wrote my first book on the radio in Seattle. It's due to be published soon. I have it written, but I need to get it one more edit. It's called Unscripted Power. And kind of what Ariel was saying and Stephanie, part of what happens when you become a host and you have a topic you'll pull other people to you. Like the other day, I had this long list of people that wanted to connect with me because I don't do interviews. I do ongoing series that really, I'm like a chef. I dive into the topic. And when people reach out to me, I had one guy reach out to me. He's still around. His name is Victor Bach. It's a true story. Victor Bach. He wrote a book called How to Solve Your Money Problems Once and For All. That's the name of the book, How to Solve Your Money Problems Once and For All. And we spoke. And kind of like Ariel was saying in Symphony, it was like we spoke. And about 2 weeks later, I got a check in the mail for $300. And he says, Glenn, he goes, I was really moved by our talk, and I just had an impulse. I just wanted to send you this. He goes, this is just for you to keep the momentum of what you're going. And people ask me, by the way, so they also asked me about Unscripted Power. Well, Unscripted Power came about. I was working at a place in New York, upstate, and Unscripted Power, and in recent years I've developed this for couples. There's nothing more beautiful than couples that discover this deep message that actually energizes and awakens them as a couple. It's such a gift. Like being in a temple or a dojo. It's something beautiful that happens for couples. And what I do in the morning and the evening, I kind of ask for more wisdom or guidance on something. Like what's the posture of it? What's the breath of it? Everything is a breath, and everything is a posture. You don't got to go to yoga class to get a posture. You're a living movement system. And as you inspire, things open and move. And one time I went to see a woman. I'm going to get back to the story, but I just had this image. I went to see this woman, and it was a businesswoman, but her face was shaking. There was some big tension in her face, and I breathed into her face. I felt that connection through the breath, and her face opened and relaxed. We're all connected. These practices transforms our life, and that's really what being a vibrant host is. And it's also a great way to be a lifestyle entrepreneur. Stay with us. I want to give out the number to get your questions and comments. We'll come back with Ariel and Stephanie and myself, Glenn.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network, and along with Stephanie Alvarez and Ariel, I'm still learning your last name. Maybe you could just say your last name again for people.
My last name is Baradarian.
Baradarian. I nailed it just then. Baradarian, ladies and gentlemen. Ariel Baradarian.
You're on the money, Glenn. Nice.
Yeah, thank you. I was just telling Stephanie that people don't think about this, but when you have someone who could introduce you and your message, it's one of the most profound things. And I've had that happen a few times in my life. I've had some profound feedback. Like I had this lady had come to see me from Marin, and she said the highest honor. She said, Glenn, I've been to medical school, I've done all this other stuff. You're the first person to see me, and that was the highest compliment. In this life, we get tricked into complexity and being counterfeits. And so the genuine thing takes us beyond time. So real healing always will take us beyond time and memory. And it brings us to another part of that fresh stream. We're going to have on Dr. Bill Pettit, who's a psychiatrist, and what you're going to discover with Bill is, he's had people like totally step out of psychosis and all kinds of states and just walk back into life with health. And so vibrant living is very much about, I guess it's an awareness that's sometimes beyond understanding, and it's something you keep allowing yourself to receive that's very different and distinct. In the same way that earlier today, it was pretty funny. I thought I'd share this with you guys. I was calling a business because I wasn't happy about something that happened with the business. And I was talking to someone who was helping me, and he said to me, he goes, "They don't like when you call. They don't like when you call." And I thought about it later because a couple of years ago we had a conference with Bernie Siegel, the oncologist who wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles. Love, Medicine, and Miracles. And one of the things he says is that conformists die very quickly in hospitals. It's people that disturb people at the hospital that tend to live longer and leave the hospital. So I was laughing about like how I don't hold. I do my best. I honor people. Sometimes I may not, but I feel like we need to own this voice. And for a couple, it's wonderful you own this together. So part of what's up for grabs, whether you're a vibrant host, you come to an unscripted power, is to own this tool that you have, this instrument, your body, your broadcasting station, in a whole nother way, and to own it so that, really, literally, I honestly, when I walk, and I'm a gazer, I connect with people very deeply, instantly, so I don't hold time being a factor. And Dr. Norm Shealy is one of our team members. He's a neurosurgeon. And one day I was biking, this is a few years ago, and I thought to myself, knowing gets in the way. Knowing gets in the way. By the way, if you're interested in becoming a vibrant host, we're gonna do a conference call. I'm going to give you an email in a moment about being a vibrant host. So I was biking to the station. Norm was married for 54 years. And I thought, God, if anybody knows about knowing and dating, neither of which I'm really interested. I'm interested in recognition. And what the difference is that when you recognize someone, it's sort of instant, and then you cultivate that. How many times have you met someone and they say they get to know you and they don't like you? Well, that's what, or, for instance, dating. I couldn't date anyone. I don't know how to date anybody. I know how to meet them and deepen the relationship. It's just that what happens is we start to get used to certain mind states in certain ways. But intimacy is so rare. Right? Intimacy is a rare thing. We don't really know what to do with it. So very early on, I thought, wow, there's something about when people make contact, that you can feel each other's breath, it's in the eyes. So that's one of the things I work with speakers is to actually allow themselves to have soft eyes, to allow themselves to receive the audience, exhale. And what's kind of interesting is when people start to have this experience, it opens them up to speakers, because it opens up their bodies, it opens their creativity. So if you're interested in being a vibrant host and hosting a show on the Vibrant Living Network, we're going to expand to 10 hours a week. And also those of you interested in my movie, you want to be part of the announcement, I'm going to give you a direct phone number and an email. How's that? Double stuff for your brain. 413 to be a vibrant host, hosting a show, but all the secrets, all the things that I've learned for the years, I'll share with you. I guarantee it's beyond an interview, and it will touch you as a speaker, as a writer. It's 413-345-3747. If I'm speaking to you, please speak to me. I want to hear what you're listening to if I'm touching you. 413-345-3747. And my email is Glenn, Glenn, @vibrantliving@gmail.com, Glenn.vibrantliving@gmail.com. By the way, the next hour to come on the Vibrant Living Network, myself and Stephanie Alvarez, one of my fun humor partners. She's a lot of fun, Stephanie. I love her so much because she has a great sense of humor. It will come out. It will keep coming out. I know you're going to share that with the audience. So we did an hour. We spent an hour with Joe Harper, and his wonderful work as being one of the leading holistic trainers in the world. He's on Dr. Oz regularly. What's the name of his book? Is it Mind and Body? Mind Body, right? Mind Body, Stephanie?
Mind Your Body.
Well, Mind Your Body. Thank you. that is definitely a gold star moment for you. Thank you. Mind your body.
You're welcome.
And thank you. So we need Stephanie. Stephanie just asked some beautiful questions. She's very genuine. She shares what's happening, with her, and it was just great. We just had so you're gonna hear that, and I think there was a lot of gems in that. So we got together. It's totally uncut. What you hear, it's exactly what happened. We work with a company called Regulaf, who's an incredible company. They have this food-based. It's beyond a probiotic. It's really an elixir. It has enzymes. And I've got to know the people at Regulap, and I love the product. I love working with them. And this is one of the people who works at Regulap. But you'll hear a lot more. You'll learn about the body types. One of the things he emphasizes a lot, you'll hear, is deservability. A lot of people don't take care of themselves. You got to take care of yourself and take care of those around you. I miss massaging my children. I used to massage my son's feet and his head and my daughter. Anytime they don't feel good, I want to go massage them. It's like that. What else can I do? What else is more relevant? What else is more relevancy? The relevancy of touch, breath, and dropping in. Stephanie, why don't you say something? Because I don't know how many minutes we have, but I want to let your voice come through tonight as our national producer. What's your message for the audience? What's something you want to share with the audience tonight?
Oh, you're just going to put me on the spot like that, huh, Glenn?
I did it at Tango. I'll do it here. No. Don't be on the spot. Just I want to invite you to play.
I would say, I've been getting over this sickness, and I realized after talking with a friend of mine, we were having a conversation, and I tend to be somebody that has high expectations of myself. And
yes.
I was talking with her, and I've been doing, a fair amount of things in my business and in the community. And I told her, I said, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel really sort of at my core that I'm sort of good enough. And she goes, well, that's interesting. You don't think that you're good enough, and here you are sick, and you're not good enough, literally. And I said, I know, that's what it is. So for me, doing what I do, anytime I have a sickness, I don't just look at sort of, I'm sick. I look at what the deeper root cause of that is. And for me right now, I think it's just releasing some old energies of not feeling as though I'm good enough, not feeling as though I'm doing enough, and I haven't accomplished enough. And, comparing myself to other people and having these really high expectations of myself, being a mom that homeschools and also runs a business and, does so many other things in the community and does different, charity work and things like that, but still just not feeling as though I am sort of good enough. And when I talk to, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to give. I know we still have a couple of minutes. I just wanted Ariel to take a moment as soon as Stephanie's done, just to say something, just to give us a wisdom moment for you. I think I totally find it really interesting, Stephanie, in the sense that, God, what you're talking about, we got to wake up from. In so many ways, no one. You'd be a rare person that actually had a different message about, taking off. During the turn of the century, there was a book written called Toxinemia by Tilden, brilliant medical doctor. And his whole point of the book was that people get ill because they get drained, and they have no sense of how to restore themselves. So
that's true.
All right, so that's yes.
Being good enough, and at the end of the day, it's just I've done enough. Getting in that trap of overworking for somebody like myself is really easy to do, and so it's just releasing that, letting that story go, writing a new story that I don't have to do all of those.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the 80% rule. 80% of it, be at 80 and you'll be better. You'll be more alive, more connected. Ariel, what's your wisdom point today that you want to share with people?
Yeah, so I know we have 2 minutes, but I'll just keep it short. So in a nutshell, it's a lot of people go through this void, they don't feel good enough, or they look at others. I think it's actually very funny because I was listening to something on my, a lecture on my phone today, and in the lecture it was talking about how when a person focuses in that, a lot of it's very easy to get into those situations, but what a person needs to do to overcome that is to simply just focus on the positives that they have, the good that they have, the good and the positive that they're doing. Meaning, the best way to one of the best ways to overcome that, to move forward past that, is to really strengthen the good and the positive in yourself and your accomplishments and who you are and what you've done. And I think when that's emphasized and that's enhanced and that's promoted to yourself, I think then that gives you the boost and the energy and the confidence, especially to try to accomplish, what it is you want to do and to reach bigger and better and higher goals for yourself, which then leads to more and more accomplishments. I can say for me personally, it's very easy for someone like me to, reach points where I'm like, I wish I can do better. I want to do better, or this doesn't feel right, or other people. But like what I try to do is I try to remember, wow, these are my positives. Wow, this is what I've done. This is where I am, and I've already accomplished so much, and I'm already doing so much, and it's making a difference on so many people. And I think when we focus and strengthen that, then that motivates us and gives us the confidence and the happiness, especially, which is very important to reach that goal that we want to reach. Instead of focusing on the negative.
So acknowledging what works, acknowledging the process. Hey, if you're interested in listening to the Vibrant Living Network, you want to be in touch about being a vibrant host, or you're interested in unscripted power, you want to give the talk of your life from your whole embodied, self, or you're a couple. And next we're gonna do a little segment called Soul to Soul Matchmaking, which I think you'll enjoy. Stay tuned for myself and Stephanie Alvarez's wonderful talk on becoming more alive and connected.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Change and growth are part of natural life and also part of your spiritual life. Everyone needs support and guidance, especially during life passages. Upgrade yourself with the OMTimes Experts program. With OMTimes Experts, you have access to the best intuitive coaches, spiritual teachers, counselors, astrologists, and oracles. Our team was carefully selected so you can trust. Find out more at experts.omtimes.com.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks for the Vibrant Living Radio Network, along with Stephanie Alvarez, my co-host and producer. And I'm honored to be with you today on the Vibrant Living Network. Boy, in the area of our body, our most valuable possession, our instrument, our piece on the Monopoly board, there's so many things there's so many ways we can become more alive. I'm honored to have with us Vibrant Living team member Joel Harper. His book, Mind Your Body, has touched life. Many people's lives. He's been a regular contributor to the Dr. Oz show. He's helped Olympic athletes. He's helped celebrities. With his philosophy, which we're going to explore today, we're going to talk about removing the negativity, removing the blocks that often we don't see. We're going to talk about getting past the things the habits and the limitations. So really you can begin to own your body, tune into your body, pay attention to it, and also be a catalyst for those around you. Well, I want to say I'm really honored to have you on today, Joe. I'm really inspired by your ideas. I'm really inspired about how you look at the inner body, the gut, that you look at a bigger view of the body and the soul, if you will, like what really impacts us. We're not just a mass of bones and blood. So I want to wholeheartedly welcome to the Vibrant Living Network today.
Thanks for having me on, Glenn. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I guess in Mind Your Body and in your work, what's the primary thing? Because clearly you reach people at a different level. A lot of people working have said they weren't able to they were able to get into another whole level of fitness or well-being that kind of was a game changer for them. How would you introduce to people or induct people into a different approach to this thing called fitness and owning this body and really having a different connection to this wondrous thing called movement?
Well, how I deal with all my clients is everybody's different, and there's no right and there's no wrong when it's coming to your own body. It's more about listening to your body and what is going on with it each day. Our body has moods just like our mind, and I get my clients in tune with that so they really listen to it and get in touch with what's going on. So for example, if they're a side sleeper or if they carry a purse or, if they have a high school injury, I get them to listen to that and move forward. Because, the bottom line with working out is you want to leave it feeling energized and tension-free. And that's my goal with all my clients.
I love the idea of listening. I think a lot of us, and my good friend Jack Colino passed away, but when I would interact with Jack, he would inspire me. There was something about him. I get when I listen to you and explore some of your ideas, like what you just said about listening. Let's go into listening, because a lot of people feel they have to exercise. They're burned to exercise, but they're not listening and tuning in. Let's dive into that.
Well, a lot of people are looking for results because they want to look differently, but I'm more about feeling different in order to look different. And so it's coming from the inside out as opposed from the outside in. Because when I think you look at the outside, it's great to look in yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm really, look really healthy, or, judging or wherever it's coming from. You want to watch out for comparing yourself to other people and judging yourself, because that wears us down, and then we don't have the energy to do what we want. I'm more on going, hey, what do you feel like today? Are you energized? Are you a little tired? And starting from that. So I created a number system. It's 0 to 10. So 0 means you have no energy, and 10 means you have a lot of energy. 0 means this muscle's really tight. 10 means I'm not feeling it at all. And the exact opposite. So a lot of people, are different every day and they have muscle imbalance. So I'm more about working what you feel like on the inside when you do something in order to change it to get all 10. So you feel good, you feel energized, you feel like you're getting the results that you want. So you leave it feeling better, more energized, and without any tension. But also you look better in the long run because you're going to feel better.
I love it. Listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network right here on OMTimes Radio. It's great having you with us, Stuart. Talking to Joel Harper, Mind Your Body, along with Stephanie Alvarez. Beyond comparison, I like to say that everything I do is beyond competing. That's something, we become different people when we go beyond comparison and competing. It's really interesting you said it, because I realize a lot of the stress and cortisol is that we're comparing ourselves. We feel like we don't look like them, we don't move like them. I think even when yoga first came, I knew some of the pioneering yoga teachers. It seemed like there's more emphasis on the way you looked in different outfits. And so talk about the impact of going beyond comparison and this level of not just listening, but getting a sense of that number system. I love that. I love it because this way I could get up and I could be low energy, but I could still have a good fitness day. I could still own my body that day. Love that.
It's about, being accountable and about being aware. And once we do those two things, it takes us to a different level. It kind of gets us grounded in who we are in that day. And it's not about trying to be somebody else or, trying to be the person we want to be. We can work towards that, but really, accepting where we are today. And I think once you do that, it gives you a good base to move forward. And I get people to talk out loud, in my sessions. I ask them multiple questions, and they come up with these numbers. And a lot of times, they think, like, hey, I'll be like, in the last 24 hours, how much water have you drinking? 0 to 10. I'll be like, 8. And then they'll do a couple exercises and be like, you know what, I thought about it, and it's more like a 7. But them getting it out there makes them aware of it, and them knowing that, hey, there's room for improvement. And I ask my clients questions, and I never really tell them anything. So what it does, it helps them be their own therapist. It helps them be their own trainer, because I'm only with them, an hour, 2, 3, 4 days a week. There's a lot of other hours in the day that they're with themselves. And that's the key, is I want them to be with themselves and be their own best coach.
I want to say that Stephanie Alvarez is not doing a silent retreat. She's with us. Stephanie, feel free to jump in if something sparks you in the conversation.
I'm listening, and I think I'm really listening because I'm somebody that has actually struggled with weight for a very large portion of my life, and I actually was in a relationship, and my weight became an issue in the relationship. And so for me, I had went through a period where I had lost a large amount of weight, and I was exercising, and I was feeling great, and I was eating right, and I was doing all of the things. And I got back into the relationship, and I slowly started to put the weight back on because for me it was more of an energetic thing. I just really wasn't happy. And then it took a really long time for me to get back into a place of being able to eat right again and go and work out and to do those things. So I'm just wondering, Joel, for you, what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling with getting back into it or struggling with feeling their best and feeling like they can go and work out and eat healthy, and they're just at that point in their life where they're miserable, but they're not doing anything about it?
Well, I break my book down into 10 different categories of life. We all have these 10 categories. They go from family, friends, our job, where we live, and we all have 10 of them. And what I get people to do is grade themselves on those 10 categories. How much do I like where I live? How good am I with my friends? And it's very fascinating because I'm big on balance. And in those 10 categories, there's always somebody who is really good at something and not so good at something else. Like I have some people who are struggling with their weight issues, but they have a great job that they love, and the people love them at their job. Or they have a really good group of friends. I have some clients who are in amazing shape, but they have no hobbies, and some of them, work really hard and don't have very good friends. So everybody I know and everybody I train has something to work on, and they're a little bit out of balance. So back with that number system, 0 to 10, so I take those 10 categories and I get them to answer them honestly with themselves. And so then they come back with the results. So let's say I have somebody who's struggling with weight, but they have a lot of friends. And so I have an example of a client that I use and I talk about in the book. So what she does is she has great friends. So I'm like, great, they're 10. She was like, yeah, they're 10. They're great. They're very thoughtful, caring. I said, okay, so let's role play with you. So let's say we went out to dinner with like 5 people, and it was your birthday, and the check came, and a couple people got up. They had to leave early and didn't leave any money. I got on my cell phone and started talking and didn't offer to pay, and the other person got drunk and they were wasted and we were worried about them. And the bill was still sitting there. What would you do? And she was like, well, I don't really have friends. I don't know I don't really know how to react to that. And I'm like, exactly. But you're eating the same way. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, that to me is like somebody who eats really healthy and doesn't work on their body. You're eating really bad friends. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you have these great friends, and they wouldn't do what I just explained to you that some people do on some people's birthdays because they don't have very good friends. She's like, right. I'm like, but you're doing the same thing with your body. And once that tricked in her head and it kind of made a little click, she was like, oh, my God, I am. And once I changed her deserve level in her workout and her health and fitness category, and she saw it like her friends, it completely changed her perception because we all have those 10 categories, and one of them we do really good, and one of them we don't do. And once you spread it into the category you're not doing very good, because we all have the same traits, then she was like, oh, wow, I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to eat the Danish. And when I go to a birthday party or when I go do something at work, I'm not going to be eating the pizza. I'm going to have the crudité. And once that, kind of shifted her reality, she started getting results because she improved her deserve level in the category of her health and fitness, which she already had in her friendship category. And everybody I know has that. Some clients I know, they don't have very good friends. And I'm like, well, you spend a lot of time working out. You treat yourself really, really well. You've got to spend the same amount of time to get to know people. You've got to make an effort to go do stuff. And once they saw it that way, the way they're spending on their body, then it, clicked on him. And he was like able to create some friendships and spend time. And it takes effort, just like it does, if your apartment's dirty. Some people would have amazing apartments and they're incredible, and some people have, apartments where there's mess everywhere. And I'm like, you got to shift your category if you want to have a clean apartment. It's the same thing. Different resonates with people is working on that deserve level and getting them to deserve what they honestly know they do deserve, but they're just not quite getting it.
So the different areas of our lives. I love how you.
The 10 categories.
I guess what's that? The 10 categories. Yeah. Well, in other words.
Right.
In other words, in my language, or I've learned that they call it an integral model, so that there's some people, as an example, they're incredible meditators, but they can't walk around the block because they're not in shape, or they, their diet's great, but their relationships are struggling. So you're looking at the 10 categories and how to basically will balance them and have them in proportion and connection to each other.
Exactly, because I don't think people, in my experience, I don't find people can be very happy with a little bit of imbalance. They're always a little unsettled if they have an amazing house, amazing job, but no hobbies. Do you know what I mean? If one category of those 10 is like a 1 or a 2, then they're always a little bit dissatisfied, and they can't enjoy the other 9. So what I get people to do is lower some of the numbers, the 9s and 10s in the other categories, and improve on the hobbies, because we all have the same amount of hours each day. And if you're not quite getting it in one category and it's important to you, you need to shift your hours, whether it means leave work early, to go to the gym, leave work early to go play tennis with some of your friends, leave work, whichever thing you need to work on. Something is going to have to, you're going to have to sacrifice something out. And most people don't want to sacrifice anything. And the result, they are unhappy. Because they feel like they want it all, but they keep this repetitive patterns going. And I'm big on breaking those repetitive patterns and getting something you want. And it may be comfortable in one category. You may not get as much work done if you have to leave at 6, instead of your usual 8 o'clock at night if your family life is suffering.
Joel, I really appreciated your input. That opened up a lot of depth awareness there. This last spring, what I did, Joel and Stephanie, is I gave up my car. Actually, I do the country's only car show on Saab. I really love Saab, the car. And I gave up my Saab, and I just biked between the end of April and I guess the middle of September. So I began every single day on the bike trail. I was the coach on the bike. I was working with people as a coach, helping them with books and talks, and just on my bike, probably 8 hours a day. And before I knew it, I really want to thank Regulat for being one of our lead underwriter, and really a product that transformed my life. I started using Regulat right around the same time, regularly, which is an inner. It's an inner tonic. It's inherently it has probiotics in it. It's a non-standardized product, which means that in the same way that all the wonder of ginger happens in synergy, Regulat, it happens because all these nutrients come together. And I know, Joe, you recommend Regulat. What happened to me was I started biking. Yeah, I want to get into the Regulat thing because I want to learn from you, because I feel like I've learned all these things about Regulat. I want to hear why you think it's so special. And also I want to say my life's different. One life, if I have a good digestion, I'm eliminating well, I just feel like a totally different person. So what got me interested in Regulat through the years, I had many people come on and talk about the gut. They talk about whether it was either leaky gut syndrome or mood in the inner gut. And more people call it, the inner gut the next brain. And it's such a significant thing. And I think why most people go to the pharmacies and deal with medications and suffering is the gut. I'm curious, I'll get back to my story, but I want to ask you, because I took Regulat every day. And it was part of my ritual in the morning. I'd get my Regulat, get on my bike, and take off for the day. How did you discover Regulat, and share why you recommend it to people? I want to kind of learn from you around that, because I use it every day. I want to learn why you recommend it, and also I want to get your take on the gut and why it's so significant, fitness, well-being, and health.
Well, I go to a lot of food shows, and I speak at a lot of them, like Expo West, Expo East, and all the little, smaller ones here in New York City. And I find all these products, and it's just fascinating to all the things that are out there. But the bottom line is, as you know, we've heard the statement before, you are what you eat. So I'm really big on, being mindful and very thoughtful of what you're putting in your mouth. Because for me, food is fuel. And that's the way I look at it. A lot of people have a connection with food, whether it's, emotional, because it'll shift their emotions. And I'm really looking at food as fuel. And it's basically you are what you eat. So something like Regulat, to me, it's great because it's really what you absorbed into your system. And I love it because it's highly bioavailable. It allows you to benefit from the micromolecular breakdown of organically grown and whole food enzymes and phytonutrients, which is, why I say you are what you absorb, because it absorbs right into your system. And and for me, it makes me feel great, and it's easy. Everybody I know is really, really busy, and they're trying to do less, but trying to do more at the same time. So something like Regulat is you just, as you know, and since you're a user, you just, take a little sip of it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I take it. I've been taking it in the morning. Sometimes I take it at night. Is there any recommendation about when to take it?
I take it in the morning, and then again a little bit in the morning and a little bit at the evening. I take it in both the mornings and the evenings. Yeah. And it's really in the bottle, and it's good to keep in the refrigerator, and it's good to go. But what Stephanie was saying before, a lot of people are struggling, with weight issues, and they want to, get off the couch, and they want to get a good workout in. But what it does, it makes you feel better when you exercise, and you take a supplement like Regulat. And it's just taking little steps, and they start to add up. So I get people to say, hey, just give yourself 15 minutes. So that's why most of my workouts and all the ones in Mind Your Body and all my DVDs are using your body weight as your gym. And that's where, you can get a great workout in your hotel room, at home. A lot of people don't like going to the gym. You can get a good workout in 15 minutes. And whereas a lot of people, think, oh, I got to go drive to the gym. I got to go to the gym. I got to have a gym membership. It's too much noise. It's just, I'm big on simplifying things and opening up time so you have free time to spend with your kids, with your family, with your friends.
So what, in your life, did you find, what moved you to go beyond a lot of conventional and really innovate something that was distinct? Like, what happened with you that because you probably was around a lot of different things, and a lot of people, as an example, go to gym class and they kind of burn out. By the way, I want to say, from my research on Regulat, it's helped people with things like Lyme disease, and it's such an immune builder, and it's a food-based supplement, which is huge. I mean, I don't use synthetics, and so it spoke to me on a number of levels, and that's why I was so happy to be working with Regulat. What allowed you to, how did you bring this vision of your work into the world, and maybe you can share that with us. I'm really curious how you kind of pioneered something in a world where people are kind of blocking the message of fitness in so many different ways. It
was a long process. I used to work at a bunch of gyms and train people, and then I opened up a studio because I like really working one-on-one with people and really getting to know them. I originally went to school to be a therapist, and I really enjoyed it. I worked at a mental hospital at a school for like a year and a half, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. I like working with people's bodies and helping them get in shape. So that's what kind of drew me originally into this business. And then I, luckily live in New York where everybody likes to work out. So I, encountered one client after the next. And some clients would get amazing results and some clients wouldn't. And, I was scratching my head at what was working and what wasn't working. And really it is on the bottom line is your deserve level, what you think you deserve. And that's, some clients don't think they deserve to be in amazing shape. Some clients, would come to me, they think, oh, well, if I pay an hour, I'm going to get it. But then they'd leave here and they would go, eat ice cream. They would do stuff to sabotage the results because there was something deep-rooted inside of them that they honestly didn't think they deserve it. So with my clients, I break that down and go deep inside them and figure out what it is so they stop those patterns so that they put the workout in time and they get full benefit of it outside when they're not around me. So that deserve level with all my clients is really key. So I try to get them to ask themselves questions before they take an action. So they're very mindful of it. So if they're going to, take a flight and the flight may be late or whatever, to be thoughtful ahead of time, think, oh, I'm going to have almonds in my bag. I'm going to have a snack so I don't get caught out, in the airport and I catch myself eating healthy things. So it's really being, conscious and making things automated as opposed to, being just kind of, careless and, oh, I'll do this now and this now. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks have gone by and, I'm back to where I started from. Because my goal is to get all my clients in the shape and accomplish all their goals in those 10 categories all at once. And that's what really attracted me to this business is seeing the results people were getting and that this stuff really does work. Like all the stuff that I put in my book, Mind Your Body, it really, really works. And I see it on a day-to-day basis. I see people getting results. But you've got to put the time in. It's all about being consistent. It's all about being consistent. The clients I know who all had weight issues, had 50, 60, 70 pounds to lose, they all had similar personalities. They wanted quick fixes. So they would come in, they would start working out for a few weeks, they would start getting results, they would feel great, and then they would kind of slack off. because they didn't want to do it. And I look at it and I would tell them it's like studying Spanish. Let's say I was going into my Spanish course twice a week to learn Spanish. I started getting kind of conversational, starting getting good, and I didn't, keep going to my Spanish lessons. My Spanish would kind of break down. I would have sloppy Spanish. I would, all my conjugations, a lot of it would, not be the best. I would, not know a variety of words. I'd keep using the same words over and over again, and I would never really get good at Spanish. The same thing as working out. You've got to put the time in, and you've got to be consistent. There are no quick fixes. And I think you can only lose 2 pounds healthily a week over a consistent 8-month period. There's nothing. You got to put the time in. People want quick fixes. There are none.
Yeah.
That's what really frustrates me about the business and seeing other people these promises, and people get disappointed. And I'm not about disappointing people. I'm about helping them feel better, look better, and get that tension out of their body.
We're talking to Joe Harper. And tell the name of your book again. I'm getting all these. A lot of people. What's the full name of the book?
It's called Mind Your Body.
Okay. Is there a subtitle that people should know as well?
It just the deserve levels. Nope. It's just Mind Your Body by Joel.
All right. Okay. Good. Wonderful. I want to thank you guys for listening to this.
All over Amazon. It's all the bookstores everywhere.
It's getting great reviews. Yeah, thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure having Joe Harper with us, Stephanie Alvarez, Vibrant Living Network here, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're also going to share the journey of a new movie I'm working on called The Announcement. If you ever wondered about love and how it could come alive in your life again, The Announcement. We're going to have some wonderful people working on The Announcement. The question I wanted to ask Joel, Stephanie, this has been such a brain. Everyone that I know in the last 3 years either has a parent, and this kind of gets back to Regulat as well. Do they have a parent or they have someone going through some dementia? There's a lot of, I think, concern about how the brain breaks down. So I want to talk about the brain-gut connection, but I also want to talk about movement of the brain, because the brain responds to movement in terms of less stress, less anxiety. Dr. Almond, who I met years before people knew, he kind of showed up on the scene, was talking about, the impact of movement on the brain. I'm curious if you could talk about, Joel, movement in the brain and also regular digestion of the brain. I'm just curious, because so many people ask, and I'm wondering, can they really change their brain? Or are they doomed to, as an example, have a depressive personality and just gain weight? That's just the way it is. I'm curious if you could address that.
Well, it's a complicated issue, but what I find people feel better is exercising, but also doing brain games while they exercise, and also doing juggling. I find that very beneficial. It fires neurons. It gets the brain really charged up and more awake and alive. A lot of people, if you think about it, a lot of people never get their head below their heart. So in all my workouts, I get people multiple times to drop their head, whether with their feet together and just hanging down, to get the blood flowing in their head. And I think it's really important for most people to do. And a lot of people, if you think about it, never get their head below their heart. And they never get in that position where the blood flushes into that area, and it feels great. So if I tell people if they're at work and they're kind of tired and they're not feeling that good, is to just put your feet together and gently hang down. Don't reach down. Just relax into it and hang down and get the blood flowing in there. It gets the juices flowing. But with all my workouts, I do brain games. So I put people in positions, and I get them to do the positions, and they got to, do the alphabet backwards. Or they have to give me the name of 30 different airlines they can fly it on today, or 20 different Broadway shows. And it just gets them to think simultaneously while working out, and it gets their brain a little bit more alive. But I also do simultaneously juggling with my clients. Everyone has to spend at least 5 to 10 minutes of their workout juggling.
Yes.
We do different games with different colored balls, and they have to do, different juggling acts with that. And they really love it because they're learning a talent. But they also, they feel more alive, and they feel their brain working. And I've really, found a, huge difference with people with Parkinson's, with all these sort of, diseases. It really has a big impact on them.
So juggling. So I read an article yesterday on boxing, actually, in Parkinson's. The people are talking about all the kind of benefits they were getting. So Regulat, the gut and the brain. Do you find people using Regulat, do they notice differences in depression and anxiety? Does it impact their mood?
Well, everybody's a little bit different if you're doing multiple things at the same time, but yes, overall, without a doubt. But it all comes together. It works together, not one or the other. So when you're throwing multiple things at them at the same time, stretching, exercise, by number system, everybody's feeling better. In their gut, it just gets things moving. It helps with your digestion. It's a win-win situation.
And I have a question, Joel, because Glenn brought up anxiety and depression. Have you had clients that have suffered with anxiety and depression, and has it affected their ability to work out?
Without a doubt, definitely. Some people have, trouble sleeping, so it, affects how they feel during the day. But what I get them to really commit to is sticking to their workouts. And the people who really have a big problem, I do out calls to them, so they're locked in knowing I'm coming to them as opposed to them coming to me. Because if they're coming to me, it's one step more of anxiety. So I want to make it easier for them where I will go to their home, and then they know I'm coming, so it gets them really commit to it and to be consistent. And with each person, on the 1 to 10 scale, I get them to say, hey, what's your anxiety level today? And they give me a number. What was your stress today? Give me a number. So it gives me a gauge of, 1, what kind of music we're going to play, 2, what kind of, level of activity we can start out with, 3, what the difference is in the first 15 minutes. So I'll repeat those questions 15 minutes later and see if it's going up or if it's going down. How much breathing exercises we need to do. If something's really hard for them, if they say their anxiety is a 9, I wouldn't throw that at them. I would give them exercises that they're the best at to build their confidence, get their breathing on track, and then gradually creep into exercises that are harder for them, that are more challenging, that are going to be more beneficial to them. So I have to use all that on my number system that they give me, because I'm asking them the questions and they're giving me the answers. Because I may think, oh, wow, they look great, their energy level's a 9, but it could really be a 4. They could be just faking it for the outside world because they've been doing that all day. And that's usually where the biggest gap is, because a lot of people have a big disconnect of who they are on the outside and what's going on the inside. And I don't let that outside world distract me, because I ask them questions about what's going on the inside, because what I see may be different from really what's going on.
And do you not do exercises that are going to raise their heart rate for people that have anxiety? Or does it depend
depends on the person and what their goals are and, where they're coming from their day. If they haven't slept very much and they, were up, they were up 4 or 5 times during the night, no, definitely not. It's just too much, too taxing. It's going to wear them out, and they're not going to feel better. I would do more mat exercises down on the ground. I would do exercises that would more than an inflatable ball. I would do things that challenge them a little bit differently and make them feel better. So it's through experience that I choose the exercises, just because I've been doing it so long. I kind of know what works and what doesn't work. Somebody who comes in and they're really stressed out, but they slept great last night, I'm going to give them a little bit more of an intense workout, because that stress is going to go away. Then they're going to feel much better because they got out a lot of that through a boxing exercise or kicking exercises or whatever it is, and with that person's personality type. And everybody's extremely different, so it's not one size fits all.
Okay.
I'm just loving it. I want to tell you something. I really appreciate Joel's brilliance. We did a series once called "Is Your Personal Trainer Killing You?" We decided to just talk to people, and I love the versatility and awareness of both body types and also states of mood, states of physiology. A lot of people I knew, as an example, let's take Bikram yoga. That was very popular, hot yoga. It impacted people positively. Let's say the first 2 months. So a lot of people had tremendous adverse effects because they were starting to burn out and driving themselves. I love this idea of the deservability and also appreciating where a person's at, Joel. You just sound like you're so wise in appreciating how they're showing up rather than mandating, wearing out their adrenals, which so many people, adrenals are drained. So I love this idea. Your exercise is restorative and regenerative when it needs to be regenerative.
Exactly. And everybody's different every single day. So I don't know what I'm going to encounter until I open my door up and my next client comes. I never know, and I never jump to conclusions. So I tell them that I may ask questions that they think I may know the answer to, but it's more about what comes out of their mouth, and so that they can hear what they're saying. as opposed
to...
Stephanie,
I love your input. I want you to continue. To the Vibrant Living Network here on OMTimes Radio, OMTimesRadio.com. And I want to say hello, everybody. It's good being with you. I appreciate all the positive, wonderful feedback. We got a Vibrant Living Challenge coming up, which I'm going to ask Joel about. I want to ask Joel about the beginning of a journey, all the beginning of a journey. One of our new journeys is the beginning of this season, as we move more into the cold, how that changes us, the relation of light. The Vibrant Living Radio Network on OMTimesRadio.com. Stephanie, let people know how they can give people the Regulat's website. So they can hear about Regulat, they could check it out more, they could order some. I don't have it in front of me. I love my friends at Regulat, appreciating them very much. What's the website for Regulat? And then continue if you have a question that if I interrupt you, I want to make sure you got your question out there, Stephanie.
The website is www.regulat-usa.com. It's Regulat.
One more time.
.com. And it's REGULAT.
I always have a lot of people backing me up around spelling bees because I don't do spelling bees. So thank you for that. So did you want to? So yeah, what I'm really appreciating here is really this is my friend who passed away, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, genius. Nick told me he never had the same. No one walked out of his office with the same diet. One of the most geniuses on the planet on pancreatic cancer, and only really treated people so uniquely as their fingerprints. So Joe, I just love what you're saying. And I think part of what you're saying would bring people back to exercise rather than mandated have to do something and become do-a-bots that kind of takes away from the deservability. The deservability thing is, you've emphasized it several times. So as I started Vibrant Living Challenge, which is a 3-month course, and it's all about what I call relational transformation, how we cover each other's back, we become smarter, more in tune, and really we aspire to go to another level. I see it as kind of we start at the base of the mountain together, but as we go up the mountain, we could see, because we have shared seeing, we actually need each other. And I feel like what's missing for a lot of people is this social human connection. So I love your all-encompassing program. I want to ask you this. I've had, over the last 30 years to ask people who've come back, who've come forward, if you will, from all kinds of things, terminal illnesses. I'm just curious if I know you treat everybody individualistic with the love. I'm also curious if you've noticed something consistently in other words, you've noticed something philosophically in people that seem to go to this next level regularly, or they bond with people regularly. I can think of a couple of things that people have passed on to me. Is there anything that's touched your heart recently? That, let's say one of your clients who it hits you, it's like, wow, it moves you.
Well, I kind of hear different little, kind of epiphanies or, quite frequently being here in New York. But it's just fascinating how some people, and you see them in New York that you don't really know, and you see them and you're like, and I saw somebody today that I haven't seen in like 15 years, and they hadn't taken care of themselves. It's amazing how, obviously I was like, you wonder what's going on in their life that they, they were so healthy before, and then just one thing after the next, it's just they went down the wrong road. And so what I get people to do and what I hear from my clients over and over again is really being mindful. Because the next thing you know is 2 years have gone by, 3 years have gone by, 4 years. And really being, conscious of your day-to-day choices. Because you up and relaxing into them instead of forcing them. And that's what I find people in New York is because, here people are so busy and have such high goals. They want to go see this and go do that. They have, such a long list of things to do is enjoy it at the same time is not turning it, like you said before, into a project. Where, I don't want any of this to be a project. I want people to enjoy to come work out with me. I want them to look forward to it. So it's fun, like, oh, hey, I'm learning juggling. Oh, hey, my mind is feeling a little bit more challenged. So they really look forward because if they leave it feeling energized and tension-free, and over the long run, they're going to look better.
What's touching you, Stephanie?
Say that again, Glenn?
What's touching you? You asked a really thoughtful and insightful question. What's touching you? What's moving you now?
Everything. I definitely love Joel's approach. I've had many different personal trainers, throughout my life, and I felt that a lot of them were really just focused on nutrition and working out. I don't think many of them were very in tune with what was sort of going on with me. I did have one, but for the most part, not many of them were very in tune with what was going on with me. And I had brought up the anxiety thing because it was something that I had struggled with, and it actually was affecting my ability to work out. There was a few times where I would go to the gym and I would start to have an anxiety attack, and I would just have to get off the machine and sort of calm myself down, and I couldn't do it anymore. And then it gave me anxiety to go back to the gym because I thought, what if I have another anxiety attack?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You need all of these different things, and you're trying to figure out, you know, what's going to work and what's going to work for you, and you try and listen to everybody's different advice. And I think a lot of times, at least for me, I felt like something's wrong with me. Like something's, you know, I can't get it. Like why I'm listening to all of these, you know, experts and all of these things, and I'm following this advice, but, you know, I'm still having these issues that I'm having to work through, and I'm not losing the weight. You know, I'm definitely somebody, I'm a worrier, and that's why I use meditation and, you know, these sort of things. That's why I've gotten onto this wellness journey, and I do all of these things because I had to. It wasn't like, oh, that sounds cool. It was like I have to do these things because if I don't, it's really affecting the quality of my life. I'm not able to do anything. I got to a point to where I was all day, every second of every day, talking myself out of anxiety, telling myself, it's okay, it's okay. My daughter would be talking to me, and I couldn't really hear her because I was just in my head saying, like, it's okay, because I kept feeling like I was going to have, you know, an anxiety attack. And so then that raised my cortisol levels. And then, you know, my doctor wanted to put me on anxiety medication, and he actually wanted to put me on medication for depression. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm not depressed. and I didn't want to take the medication because then I read all the side effects, and they were like, it could give you anxiety and all of these things. And so I just felt like I was in this really vicious circle for a really long time. So I do find it refreshing that, you know, Joel's approach with dealing with the mind, because that's such a huge part of it. It is the mind. It is your thoughts. It is the things, you know, that you're thinking. And for me, it's something that I have to do daily. I'm very mindful of it, and I just really appreciate that that insight.
Yeah, Stephanie, I can completely relate to you. I hear what you're saying, and that's why I call my book Mind Your Body, and it comes in, mind comes in first, because it's so important. And a lot of what you're going through, it's not enjoyable, it's not fun, and it's a very draining, I find, and it takes a lot of energy out of you when you could be using that energy, you know, in the right direction. And I find clients, you know, have your same situation over and over again, and it's so awakening having them see that cleaned up and coming from a place where you're not there's no judgment, there's no comparison, because there's always somebody going to be, you know, more wealthy than I am. There's always going to be somebody who's better looking, somebody who's in better shape. There's always going to be somebody who's in less money than I am. And it's just a never-ending vicious tornado, I look at it. And what I try to get people to do is quiet those voices down and ultimately look at them like weeds, and you're just pulling those weeds out of your garden and throwing them in the trash can. And they're just thoughts. They serve no purpose, and everybody has them. It's what sort of, you know, emphasis we give on those, and just letting them go, just flow down the river. And so a lot of my clients have, you know, different thoughts in different categories, and that they're not useful for them. And there's nothing wrong or right about them, and we don't need to judge them. All they are is thoughts. It's just like, you know, leaves falling off a tree. You just let them fall and then blow away. And not analyzing them and just letting them go. And I find that during my workouts, I get my clients to share their thoughts with me, and as they do, I let them either hold on to them if they want to, or just let them go. You know, and then it gets kind of funny. People start laughing at thoughts that bothered them before. They're like, oh, it's really kind of ridiculous, you know, and I don't think that way because my mom's told me that, you know, since I was a kid. But it's just some stupid little thought that I had in my head that I don't need anymore. And once they free that up, it's so enlightening.
You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network, along with Stephanie Alvarez, talking to Joel Harper. Mind Your Body, Mind Your Body. Powerful title. Awareness, mindfulness, paying attention. And not, you know, Jacqueline said to me, I think Jacqueline's father passed away at 51, I believe. And Jack was in his 80s. By the way, he did tell me that dying would be bad for his reputation. Turned out to be true. I want to say that. Yeah, true. I miss Jack. What a spirit.
Yeah,
so, I loved him so much. I read his books, and when I was in high school, And I said, wow, no one talks about this. No one really pays attention to their body. And
do you remember how limber he was when he died?
Comes out of, what's that?
Do you remember how limber he was?
Yeah, he was my hero. Yeah, he was. Did you ever share the platform with him, Joe?
No, I just read about him when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, me too. And then my teacher that I met in New York, Paul Bragg, was his teacher, and I guess I always appreciated this lineage of the baton, like what you have. You pass on. I guess I feel there's an invisible energy of what you're doing, Joel. There's something that you pass on to your clients that they're touching the lives of others. What have you noticed? So, since one of my themes is relationalness, what did you notice when people come to you and they get the transfer in those categories? They see the interconnection. They up their deservability, which I think we got to dive into one more time before we let you go today. What have you noticed the impact of one person in a family in a system on the other members of the family? Have you noticed anything about that?
Huge. Well, with my workouts, I have 5 slots. So if you book, let's say, 5 o'clock, you can bring whoever you want. So for my example, my next client worked out me, and he's like, hey, and he brings now his kids. So it kind of spreads it. And now that one of the kids is in like 6th grade, and she, when she's at her exercise class at school, she will tell them like, hey, actually, if you do this stretch, it's actually a little bit better. So she's like, oh, I give my teacher pointers. And the teacher was like, wow, how'd you know all this stuff? And she was like, oh, well, I go to the trainer, blah, blah. So it just kind of trickles out there. And I'm big on that number system, which I think really, really works. Because it simplifies it. It simplifies it on your energy, on all those 10 categories, but also with muscle and balance. And I think a lot of people don't feel very well, and they have injuries because of the bottom line is muscle imbalance. And what I get my clients is really to ingrain in them, and I know it's a much longer discussion, just a little bit here, but it's really important for people to give the muscles numbers as well. So if I am standing and I do a quad stretch by pulling my right leg all the way back, and one side is an 8, then I do my left one, it's a 10, then I need to get those balanced. That's throwing my body off. It's like having bungee cords on one side. And a lot of people I know, Stephanie, have anxiety because they have muscle imbalance and muscle tension. It's like bungee cords pulling on them all day long. And once you get those muscles lined up on both sides of your body, then you feel a little freer. And honestly, it gets rid of a lot of anxiety because that anxiety sometimes is caused from excess muscle tension in your body.
That's amazing.
And doing those numbers with all my clients with every stretch, they give me numbers, and I get those numbers lined up because they ultimately want to be the same if you're doing a one-sided stretch.
There's something I wanted to share. I'd like to get your take, Joe, on this because it really impacted me. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network here on OMTimes Radio, where vibrant living is a way of life, a way of inquiring, a way of going past into something new and touching those around you. All right, so I was honored enough that when I think the book was called it was on reversing heart disease. It was kind of one of the most innovative books of its time. Dr. Dean Ornish. Dean called me but he was studying yoga and he was looking at how it impacted cardiology. Well, I want to run the story because this was kind of a game changer for him. What he did is he developed a program, and people are traveling from around the world to do this program, and it included diet, exercise, and group. And group is really where you talk about what's happening as you change your diet, as you notice the changes, as you integrate, movement and stretching. And there was one guy Dean took note of, and this was a guy who he wouldn't go to group, but he broke records. He had chronic congestive heart failure, I believe, and he broke records on the rowing machine. And this was early on, and Dean he hadn't really observed what made a difference. He had a sense that diet was huge. But this guy actually passed away on the rowing machine. And so Dean's next book was on love and survival, the quality of love in our life. I'm curious and when you mind your body, how that impacts, to go back to this relational equation, because I see so many people going through these severe transitions and wondering how they could really maintain their sanity, maybe become more creative and healthy. What's to go into that relational equation, that deservingness, because it seems like when you mentioned in New York City something you haven't seen in 2 to 15 years, it it's amazing how it can impact people. And the deservability level seems to go down. What would your comment be about group or support or momentum from other people during beginning a program of movement and fitness?
I think it's great. I think the more support you can have, the better. But it's knowing your personality type and what works best for you. So that's coming from the inside out again. Some people don't like groups. It gives them anxiety to have to come and tell somebody else. It does the exact opposite. It's not right. And that's what I think, Stephanie hit on before, which I think is very important. There's a lot of information out there, and it can be very overwhelming. And so that's what, in my book, I break it down and simplify it. I read articles. Milk's good for you. Milk's bad for you. Water's good for you. Water's bad for you. Stretching's good for you. Stretching's bad for you. It's like so confusing. I go to, I read all the time, and I save these articles, and I'll go back in the same newspaper, put the exact contradictory article in there 6 months later. It's very frustrating. But what I find is doing what's right for you and your body at that time, but actually doing it, not just talking about doing it, actually doing it. And so that's what I think is, great for, all these group classes that are going on now, these spinning classes, these, all these exercise classes. A lot of people do better in groups and getting together with this, your challenge, which you're having, which is excellent, is people getting together, and that sense of momentum gets the ball rolling, and people love it. It's more of a team effort. And some people do great with teams. That's why we have 5 slots, is people bring work people. When they're here, I guarantee you every time somebody brings somebody else, they do more because it's with a group and they feel better. And it pushes one person, pushes the other person, and it distracts them. And the next thing they know, they've done 20 push-ups as opposed to the 15 they would have stopped on.
I've done a segment regularly called Unlocking the Body and Unwinding the Mind. And a lot of people have reported benefits of hands-on body work, shiatsu, vaulting, different types of massage. And when I travel, I often get different types of body work. Since you mentioned the bungee cords and the unconscious tension, you mentioned it could cause chronic anxiety. What would you say about kind of hands-on work and how it's relevant in our lives in terms of deservability, in terms of discovering our body, in terms of more vitality, more awareness? Hands-on body work, Joe. What's your take?
I think it's excellent. I think it definitely needs to be done. Yoga works the muscles from the inside out, and stretching and all that works from the inside out. Massage works from the outside in. And a lot of people can't afford massages, but there's great things you can do with foam rollers, that are really good. You can do great things with tennis balls on your back. I take all my clients and show them if they're on a trip and their shoulder's bothering. There's some excellent things you can do opening those muscles up. But I'm all for doing a variety. Some people hate massages, but they love the foam roller. So it's really, in that same category of finding out what works best for you. I love massages, and one thing about being in New York is I probably don't get enough of it. I need to treat myself a little bit.
All right, Joe. I want you to promise us before I want you to promise you to get a massage or some body work that you enjoy.
Yeah. I was supposed to be doing it every Friday night, but the next thing I know is 2 months later, and I haven't done it though. So.
You know what I'm curious about? A lot of people talk about confidence, particularly in people at a certain age or chronological age. When I met Paul Bragg in New York City, Jack LaLanne's teacher, he kind of saved Jack's life. He told me that it's not your chronological age, it's your biological age, and he had this wonderful attitude about age. But I could see confidence. When people mind their body and they begin to participate, how does it impact their confidence and their relationship to their body? Like, do people notice? Do people say, "Hey, I walk differently down the block. I feel my posture is from the inside." Like, what's the feedback you get about how it impacts their confidence and body awareness?
Huge, and it's so rewarding. One thing I wrote is Mind Your Body 4 is because I can only see a certain amount of people every single day, but I wanted to share this with so many people because they all deserve to feel great. But it makes you feel more grounded because your muscles are more balanced, from one side to the next, and you feel better, and your muscles, don't have all that tension in it. They get stronger, they get more lean, they get more, are more flexible. It's just there's so many benefits that you can't even name them all. It gets that blood flowing. It's great. So that's why I try to get everybody to really, really, really make a huge effort on their deserve level, so they feel like they deserve that, to feel that confidence that everybody deserves to feel.
You're the Vibrant Living Radio Network, the Vibrant Living Network. You're here coast to coast and all around the world as we reach new people all around the world. And I started this about 30 years ago. I'm really into this idea. First of all, your health, is your health by design or by accident? Is it by design or accident? We can really participate in what makes it by design. We can share it with others, and we can reverse our biological age and have a different relationship. Or as Deepak Chopra used to say to me, that we grow old and die because we see other people grow old and die. I used to really be struck by that one. We grow old and die because we see other people grow old and die. That a lot of the culture around us really impacts us in the same way that Joe was talking about how people, you know, they sometimes become old because they forget to grow young each day. So I'm loving the Mind Your Body with Joel Harper. I'm happy that you're on the Vibrant Living team. I'm happy you're sharing your ideas, Joel. It's, everything you shared, by the way, is so, in some ways, over the last 20 years, everything you covered is stuff that's touched me. I've wondered about. You know, I thought, well, why do those people look unhappy leaving the class? How do they get injured? So I love the comprehensive, authentic, holistic system that you present in Mind Your Body. Is there a website, a blog, is there anything you want to leave people with before your next visit and your next contribution that they could kind of tune into the world of Joel Harper and his wonderful approach to holistic fitness?
Yeah, you can get everything on my website, which is joelharperfitness.com, JoelHarper fitness.com. It has everything on there. So I make workout DVDs, my book, and it really helps people, you know, who don't have the time or the money, is to get good workouts at home. And that's key, is making a little effort goes a long way.
Stephanie, did you want to, you know, and you guys had tremendous support. Every question you asked seemed to touch Joel. So is that something you want to leave the audience with or ask Joel before he goes back to touching the many lives in New York City? Is there anything you want to say or share, Stephanie?
I really want to thank him for his time and his insight. I'm definitely going to do some stretching tonight. I did some the other day, and I felt super tight. And for me, it's funny because I do notice that when I do the stretching, I actually release a lot of emotions. So I just feel like that was definitely something that I needed to hear. And thank you so much, Joel. I'm definitely going to be getting that book and reading more about it so I can incorporate these things into my life.
Great.
And I want to thank Regulat. I want to thank Regulat so much for being our underwriter and just all the wonderful work they're doing, putting out that one-of-a-kind product out there. And Stephanie, again, if you give the honors with the website for Regulat, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, it's www.regulat-usa.com.
Those of you who want to be in touch with me or suggest that, you know, what you're touched by or share a resource, you can go to Vibrant Living Connections, vibrantlivingconnections.com. Hey, Joel, deeply appreciate connecting with you and sharing all this wonderful life-contributing ideas and experience with the audience. Thanks very much, Joel.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Hope we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Your life's precious and joyous. And listen to us Tuesday night, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And if you guys are old-fashioned like me and love the phone, I love hearing people's real live voices, Stephanie. I don't know what it is. I still do. 413-345-3747. I coach people around the world on the message that really moves them. The message, I work with couples. I work with people who want to write books. It's all about that vibrant message. It's all about going beyond our belief systems. Oftentimes our belief system is our disease, and we need to go beyond it. So if we touched you or if something sparked you, I'd like to hear from you. And if you want to be a vibrant host and really touch others with your message and use the power of the spoken word as a doorway to reach others and also the written word, be in touch. Otherwise, thanks for listening to the Vibrant Living Network here on OMTimes Radio. By the way, I've been moving the whole time we've been doing the show, Stephanie. I've been hiking and moving and stretching. I wanted to let you know that. Because I think, you know, the desk is something I don't really use that much anymore, except for a little bit. So I'm gonna go home today, and Joel's on. I'm gonna jump a little on my mini tramp. And by the way, I'm gonna do some stretching. When I was biking, funny enough, Stephanie, I was doing a lot of stretching on my bike organically. It was just kind of coming to me. Like, let me try this position. And when I look to the left, I move my whole body from my hip, almost like a spine twist. Right, all those wonderful movements. As children, by the way, we have 1,000 movements. 1,000 movements. How many movements do we have, Stephanie, as adults? If we don't pay attention. You want to guess? I'm going to guess too, by the way. I don't have a defined answer, but you guess first. Go ahead. How many movements do you think the average adult has? You know, let's say versus a child.
36.
What's that?
36.
I like 30. We're going to go with 36 today. Okay, you are the winner of the Corvette, Stephanie. That was incredible. I don't know how you did that. Yeah, it's like we just start to lose, and it's really about participating. Listen, first I want to thank Stephanie for her wonderful recent trip. We discussed the trip to Aspen, to the Lead with Love conference, and all the wonderful people we made connections with there. And I want to encourage you to participate and share and question. And like you did today, I love that you shared your experience and that your questions came from your experience. I'm touched and I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Stephanie. I appreciate you guys out there. Your life's precious. Enjoy it. And thanks for listening to the Vibrant Living Network. I'm Glenn Brooks. Until next time.